So, a quick introduction. My name's Anne-Marie Taylor, and I'm the program manager for HR here at the School of Continuing Studies. I'm going to be walking you through a bunch of information about our certificate programs here. I'm hoping that sort of the information portion will take about probably about 30 minutes, and then we're going to leave a lot of time for questions at the end. So we're going to dig in to what we're going to talk about today. We're going to cover a lot of ground. There's going to be a lot of information. Not to worry. There's a lot of resources for you. We're always happy to answer questions to make sure that you're comfortable with the program and you're making the best decision possible for your learning. So this is the agenda for today. And as I said, we're going to try to cover this in fairly short order so that we can leave a lot of time for questions. So a little bit about the School of Continuing Studies in York University. If you don't know about us, we're located in Toronto, just north. We're the third largest university in Canada. We have a community of about 46,000 undergraduate students and 7,000 graduate students, with about 12,000 international students of those numbers, and representing 178 countries. You get a sneak peek at our new building, which is almost finished. We're scheduled to be moving in this fall. So this is going to be the new home for the School of Continuing Studies. And a lot of our full-time classes starting in September will be housed here. So about the school, we have just over 35 programs, professional programs. We've experienced a tremendous amount of growth over the last 5 years. We're one of the fastest growing continuing studies departments in Canada. We have students from about 84 countries, so global representation. And one of the things and we'll dig into this with the HR program because it's not unique to the HR program, is that all of our programs here at the School of Continuing Studies are created in collaboration with industry and academic leaders. And we're also home, in addition to our professional programs, we're also home to the award-winning English Language Institute, which is one of the largest language institutes here in Canada. So we're all very excited to be in this new building. It's closer to the subway, closer to the metro, better parking, and closer to better food for those people who are planning to be on campus. So a little bit about our certificates. As I mentioned, we have two. We have a part-time certificate and a full-time certificate. We're going to be talking about those separately, but there's a lot of elements that they are the same program. It's just really how you go through the learning that is really different. So when we think about sort of why certificate in human resource management here at York, we've designed our certificates in collaboration with an advisory committee. And what is an advisory committee? For us here at York, that is senior human resources executives and practitioners from a variety of different industries that give us a sense of what organizations and really the job market is looking for to really set you up for long-term success. We have really great instructors who are practitioners who are also working in the field that really help us keep our programs up to date and hands-on so that you get the practice in the program to be able to apply it later on. So in our certificate program, you'll gain a deeper understanding of the HR core concepts, and I'll dig into those later and how they relate to the professional designation. But really, when you're thinking about this is about not only the core concepts, but also the cross-functional skills that'll help you be successful regardless of the career path that you're thinking about. All of our course content is HRPA, and I'll be using that term, that acronym a lot, and that is the Human Resources Professional Association. That is the designation and the governing body for HR professionals here in Ontario. And these courses and our certificates count towards the educational requirements for your Certified Human Resources Professional, your CHRP for short, and your Certified Human Resources Leader, your CHRL designations. So if that's something that you're considering, this program will count towards that, and we go through a process of evaluation with the professional body to ensure that everything aligns. When you're thinking about sort of the variety of programs that are out there for you, you might be thinking, why York? one of the things that's unique to our school is we utilize a cohort model. And what that means is that depending on the intake, so some of you were thinking about starting program this May or this September, means that you start with the same students and you should be finishing with the same students. And what that does is that it really provides a lot of stability for scheduling, so that you know for the next period of time that you've signed up for your certificate, that you know when everything is, you know who you'll be learning with. Um, but it also allows us to build curriculum and programs that sort of build upon prior knowledge and allows you to create a bit of a community, study groups, and networking opportunities for you. The other thing that is unique to us is that we have a couple of different delivery options. And this is when I talked about two different certificates, just how you get to the different places can change. So depending on what you're looking for in terms of your learning, we have a full-time program that will be offered full-time on campus during the day. And then we have a part-time option, which is completely self-directed learning. Um, so I caution to use the word on demand, because it's not quite on demand. You have scheduled activities and due dates within the courses, but depending on where you are in terms of your studies, what your work-life balance looks like, and how you're going to fold in education into this, there's options for you. We have a fairly condensed program. So for the full-time program, it is definitely condensed. It's 9 months. You take 2 courses at a time and you go through that in fairly short order. And the full-time program is 1 year, 8 months, and you take 1 course at a time. So although that might seem like a longer piece, it actually is much faster than going through, especially if you already have a degree. It's much faster than pursuing an undergraduate degree, and it really gets you the same educational quality. So as I mentioned earlier, our program is developed in conjunction with industry experts, and not only our instructors, but also our program advisory council, and they're really bringing in all of their knowledge about their subject matter expertise in HR, but also what it means to be like on the ground and working in the field, so that we can combine that and layer that in to really create a learning experience that sets you up for success in the future. And yeah, so just to reiterate that our instructors do come from industry. They all have that practical experience, and often are not only are they what we call HR generalists, which means they wear multiple hats at work, but sometimes we also have instructors who are specialists in certain areas like labor relations to teach that particular course, because you really do need a sense of what negotiation and that type of thing looks like. We've talked a lot about sort of what what all of this looks like, but one of the things that we really do hang our hats on here at the School of Continuing Studies is what is called the T-Shape Learner. And all the T-Shape Learner is really that sort of the cross-functional skills like communication, negotiation, conflict resolution, all of those sort of soft skills or enabling competencies. Those are interwoven into our program, so that not only are you learning like the theory and the application that is absolutely necessary for your specialization in HR, but you're utilizing those other skills, which will increase your hireability as well as success in your future jobs. We've known from a lot of time that this is what employers are looking for. Like, we can all have technical expertise, but how good are you at working in a team? How good are you able to negotiate conflict and that type of thing? So we really do give you the opportunity to be able to flex and practice those skills in the safe environment of a classroom or a virtual classroom, so that you can apply those in your future work. So you might be wondering about what the opportunities look like in terms of human resources. This is a field that is growing. We've seen growth over the last 2 years, which could be COVID related, but it keeps trending. And partly because it's such a diverse field. I think for those of us who have been within organizations, we tend to think about HR as the thing that you go to for issues, but they really are do learning and development. They think about compensation, strategy, planning, and you'll notice that the courses have those titles too. But here in Toronto, the job market seems to be steadily growing and faster than the national average. So there are sort of things or jobs that when you're looking in the future for, you can look at titles like human resources generalist, recruiters also fall within the HR category, learning and development, health and safety officers, compensation specialists, career counselors, corporate trainers, um, human resources consultants, which are sort of an internal function. So there's a wide range of jobs that are out there in the human resources field. But I think also in general, a human resources certificate provides you with a lot of sort of organizational know-how and savvy that really can sort of tee you up to be a really great leader within your organization as well. So I talked at the top about the human resources, the HRPA, the Human Resources Professional Association, and the two types of designations. So this really is something that if you were considering, a career in HR, you should really think about your, reading more about the HRPA and how that all aligns. And the different designations that you can get within it. So there's the CHRP, which is the Certified Human Resources Professional, and the Certified Human Resources Leader here in Ontario. They are the regulatory body for those who are practicing human resources. So there are PD requirements and things like that, much like if you were to become an accountant or a doctor, or in law, you have yearly PD. The body also does that as well. And according to a large study conducted by PayScale, they can confirm that those who have obtained their CHRP designation are most likely to be promoted faster and hired into larger companies than those without. Always, it's a consideration, it's a personal decision on what you'd like to do. And there's obviously more information if you go to their website in terms of what that designation looks like, the path to it, and questions. But if you have any questions about how our programs align, absolutely, we are the people to reach out to. So how does this all work together? So I mentioned that our programs are evaluated and approved by the HRPA. So you'll see that that qualifications box there. So if you take our programs, you then are qualified for the designation. When you go through this process, you have to also take, just underneath that qualifications box, you'll see that there's a knowledge exam and a job ready program. So there's a couple of things. It's not just your educational requirements. You also have to take a test or an exam, as well as a few other things that gets you to your designation. But there is an educational requirement for the designation that we cover off. I will say that you need to get at least, if you're pursuing this, you need to get at least a 65% in all of your courses to be able to qualify for the knowledge exam. If you don't, it's totally fine. You could also write a challenge exam. So if you happen to get a little bit less than 65 in one particular course, you can then go on to take a challenge exam with the HRPA. So who are our students? So we learned a little bit about our students. Who are the students here on the line? So we have some international students, we have some domestic students. We also have people who are just starting their careers. So they've just finished their undergraduate degree and they're looking for, further specialization. We also have a lot of our students, particularly in our part-time program, that are thinking about changing their careers or looking for a promotion. So they're you might already been working for, 5 to 10 years and you're really looking for something new or perhaps a new challenge. Also, a lot of aspiring managers and future leaders in our international program, in our full-time program. It's mostly international students, and those students are really always looking for, the exact same thing that we are as well here as a domestic student. So digging into the two different programs that we have. So we have the full-time program. The full-time program is 10 courses. These are all, HRPA approved, as I mentioned. And you go through this program taking 2 courses at a time. In terms of entry, and I'll cover this again at the end, you need a bachelor degree, the equivalent of a C or higher, and you need international English language test scores of 6.0 or higher. And we have people to help. If you have questions about admissions, we can definitely cover that in the Q&A, but I have a great colleague who can also answer those questions too. So the full-time program is a day program, and we often run more than one section, usually two, sometimes three. This is what the first section would look like. So you take courses Monday through Thursday. Each day, the courses are run at the same time, and you alternate between classes. So, as an example, you might take recruitment and selection on Monday and Wednesday, and then organizational behavior on Tuesday and Thursday. Those classes run for about 6.5 weeks, 13 lessons, and then you get a little break, and then you move on to the next two courses again. 7 weeks, a little break, and then you move on to the next one. So it really is quite an intensive program. There's 12 hours of live instruction on campus every week, in addition to other work that's to be done for the courses. So if you are working full time, this may be this could be an option for you, but I do suggest discussing it with your employer, because you would need to be away from work for the period of time where the courses are running, because they are run on campus. And yeah, no classes on Fridays. And then we have the fully online certificate. This is the part-time certificate. So you'll notice here that there's only 9 courses. The one course that isn't done here is the business communications course. Everything else is the same. It's the same content. It's the same, a lot of the times, the same types of activities and exercises. They are adjusted to be fully online, but it's all the same curriculum. So you're not missing out if you take the full-time or the part-time. It really depends on what's appropriate for you. I will say that if you are an international student and you're looking to pursue your postgraduate work permit, your PGWP, the part-time program, you are not eligible for PGWP with that. You would need to be in the full-time program. Okay. So I mentioned off the top that this is the part-time program is self-directed. So what does that mean? It means that you do not have any scheduled live instruction. In fact, most courses, it is not a requirement for the course to have live instruction. You are really, there's a course in our learning management system where you have videos and interactions and all of that sort of great stuff that's set up for you so that you can plan your learning around your personal and professional lives. We understand that there's a lot going on, so we don't want to say that, oh, well, Monday night you'll be in class from 7 till 10 o'clock. That's not how it runs. So it's not as evident as the full-time program that this is also cohort-based. So you will start with all of the same students. You will also have group work and activities to do. How you do them and how you manage your time week to week is up to you, but you will have due dates and check-in points along the way to sort of keep you moving towards completion. So how quickly you learn and how quickly you study and get through your work is really individual, but we do say there's, roughly about 7 to 10 hours, depending on the week, of time that you should budget to learn. And in the part-time program, you complete one course at a time rather than 2, and that's why it takes about a year and a half or a year and 8 months. So in addition to the school programming and the certificate programming, there's a lot of other additional opportunities available to you. So we might have we often bring in speakers from the HRPA to talk with you. Also, right now I'm considering running a bit of a workshop for Excel, because you do take an accounting course with our program to help support our students. You have free access to Excel. You also have free access to LinkedIn Learning. We often get industry speakers to come in. So there's a bunch of different opportunities, and this is growing as we speak, because we've just recently brought in somebody to help with career advising. So if you were to join a webinar with me, this type of webinar again in a couple of months, we'd be talking about that in terms of placements and things like that. So this is an overview slide of just how the different programs work with the tuition as it is on the website today. So you'll notice that the full-time program is longer, is 10 courses. The domestic price is $8,249, and the international is $18,999. The applications, again, I'll just reiterate this, is that it's at least a C from a university, a B from a college degree and English language test scores of 6.0. For the part-time program, this is something where you can apply directly. It's really created for students who are returning to sort of reskill or retune. So there's no application requirements for this unless you are an international student, and then we do require IELTS, but it's not, again, like I mentioned, if you're pursuing your PGWP, the part-time one isn't necessarily for you. But if you've been away from school, or you haven't completed your degree, or depending where you are, we're not looking for necessarily for you to have a degree or even a graduate degree to enter the certificate program. This is really open to working professionals and adult learners. So the next program offerings, we have the part-time online program we're starting in May and we're still accepting applications, or we're still accepting not applications because it's direct entry. So students are still registering for that. Fall, there's a September start for the fall programs, and then winter 23, which isn't on our website yet, but it'll be running. So we offer our part-time programs 3 times a year, or start dates 3 times a year. And then our full-time programs, for spring 2022, the international registration has closed because it would be right now very difficult in this short order to get a study permit. But September is still open, and if you're an international student on the line and you're thinking about applying for September, I would suggest doing so in the next couple of months, because I've noticed that we're getting quite full, and if you'd like to secure your place, you should do that in short order. And then again, not on our website yet, but we have a winter 2023 that'll be open as well. So there's lots of opportunities to join in the learning and to start your new certificate program. This really comes to the end of sort of the information. I'm going to come to questions soon, but I'm going to leave this this slide up for a little bit. You might want to take a picture or a screen grab. This is all the really great contact information. So you can learn more about our programs at the website at continue@york.ca. We have a continuing studies advisor, David, who's absolutely fabulous and is more than happy to answer your questions. So you can reach David at continue@york.ca. The registration team should only really be contacted with any questions about registration, not if you qualify for the program or not. This is really about fees and things like that. If you have questions about the specifics of the program, start dates and things like that, that's David. Once you go through the process, then it's the registration team. If you are an international student, you can also contact, if you have any questions about sort of what it means to be an international student, that David can answer, I do suggest you reaching out to York International. Please use their email. They also have really great virtual sessions. So if you have any questions about anything regarding your visas or your status, they are qualified immigration advisors and they can provide you information. Whereas I am not a qualified immigration person, so I cannot answer any of the questions about visas or that type of thing. But they have, as you can imagine, there's an extreme volume with the international team. So I do suggest going to their website, checking out when they have a virtual sort of office hour session and contacting them that way. Okay. So I will leave it at that. I'm going to leave this screen up for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to go back to the detail screen while I look at your questions. Does the part-time program allow you to write your CHRL or just the CHRP? If the education requirements are for both, the CHRL may have sort of other types of exams. So you'd want to contact the HRPA for that, but we do fulfill the education requirements. Does taking a university program make the courses harder? No. So one of the things with the HRPA and making sure that we adhere to their programming so that our courses are approved, so they count towards your educational requirements, is that the core curriculum is the same. We have to, like I know I have to cover things that all the material that the HRPA tells me to. So I think what distinguishes different programs is their approach to learning and how, what they do for students. So Miriam, our program is really designed to help you not only get to your designation, but really give you that sort of practical and actionable learning through casework, through projects, through group work, and all, as well as independent learning. All of those things that allow you to build upon your existing skill set to set you up for success. So is it rigorous? Yes. Is it also practical and actionable? Absolutely. So it sort of is our program is a blend between the two. And what York offers is that cohort model. So um, I hear a lot of feedback from students and instructors that, it might take a while, especially in the part-time program, like a couple of weeks for students to get to know each other. But you do create networks. And I hear from alumni that goes like, I studied with this person, then we ended up, excuse me, not only forming friendships, but sort of help networking and sort of job discovery and things like that. What is the difference between full-time and part-time? So great question. So I'm just going to go back to this slide. And also a great one to take a screen grab of or a photo. So the full-time program is a daytime program. It is full-time learning. So you're taking 12 hours of in-class plus homework for each course, and it's only 9 months. For the part-time program, it is one course at a time, probably about 7 hours of learning a week, but with no live instruction. So there aren't any classes. The content of each of the certificates is the same, with the exception that there is a business communications course in the full-time program. Can I take a break between in between the part-time program? We do have deferral and withdrawal policies. So yes, if you need to step away from your studies, there is a whole process for you to be able to do that, and then you can pick up later. My colleague, who is the program coordinator, is the person that walks you through all of that process. If it's a short break for a particular reason, like you have something major going on at work or in your personal life that you need to step away for like one course, we can do that. You can also withdraw. So yes, if you choose to pause your part-time program, you can come back. We just need to have a chat about that to make sure that we're not putting any of your prior learning in jeopardy, so that we're maintaining consistency there. Do the full-time classes usually take place in the morning? So when we have two sections, there's an 8:30 start, and our classes are 3 hours. So there's an 8:30 start with section 1, and then the second section would start at 12. If we run a third section, it starts at 3:30. So depending on where you're placed in those sections, it could be in the morning or in the early afternoon. For the part-time program, I understand that it's one course at a time. Can you please break down the schedule? Is it one course per semester? Great question, Priscilla. So it is we don't run on semesters. We run sort of, the program starts in September, and then it lasts for the part-time program a year and 8 months. So each course is about 8 to 9 weeks. Then there's a break in between, and then 8 to 9 weeks. So if we think about the traditional semester, you would have 1.5 courses from September to December, and then 1.5 courses from January to May, and then 1, maybe 2 courses over the summer. So it's 8 to 9 weeks, depending on schedule breaks, provincial holidays, and things like that. So some courses span 10 weeks because the university is closed over the winter holidays, for example. So it's generally 1.5 courses per traditional semester, if that helps. If you are a permanent resident, would you still need to take a language test? It depends on if you pursued your undergraduate or your graduate education in English, then you are exempt from an English language test. There's lots of information on our continuing studies website. This website here, and also you can absolutely reach out to David as well. So there are requirements for English language if you have not pursued your education in English. But if you're a PR, you're considered a domestic student. Are these courses covered under OSAP? No, they aren't. What is the placement rate for the program after completion? This is a great question. Unfortunately, we don't have that data. We're looking right now at collecting that, but we don't have that data. Do you have placements at the campus? I'm going to come back to that question because I think I need to clarify what placement means. Um, will we have anything like freshers for fall? Um, like freshman orientation. So as a postgraduate program, and most of our students being adult learners and have completed at least one degree, we have an orientation day that I would hope is in person and on campus again in the fall. But it's not like a freshman, like an undergraduate freshman sort of week-long event. It's a day to sort of help, or an afternoon that would help you sort of situate yourself in your program. So average class size and the demographics. So for the full-time classes, our class sizes are generally, we cap them at 60, but generally the class sizes are between 35 and 45. Most of our full-time students are international students. Some of our students are also sort of international, where this is their first sort of um, time taking learning in Toronto. We also have international students who have learned where this is their second sort of, they've been in Toronto or the GTA or other parts of Canada for a while. So I'm not sure, although technically they're international students, they've been in the country for a while taking other programs and doing other things who tend to join us. So that's what the full-time program looks like. The part-time program, just because of it doesn't qualify for PGWP. It tends to be what we call domestic students, and that really is whether you're a Canadian citizen or have PR. That's really what we're talking about. So those are the difference, and they tend to be our part-time program tends to be a lot of working professionals who are balancing. So most of our students there are working at least part-time, if not the majority of them working full-time. Oh, and the part-time program, because it's online, we have a lot of the class sizes. It's not the same way as you would think about larger class sizes because the program is run differently, and you are put into teams, and we have additional support if the amount of students in a cohort is large. But we tend to get about 60 students in the fall for our part-time program. But don't think of that as being overwhelming, because online self-directed learning is very different. You get to know your team, and you'd be working with that team throughout a course. So you won't feel that you're in a room with 60 people. That's not how it works. Will there be any co-op opportunities in the part-time program? No, we don't currently have any organized co-op opportunities. We do post from time to time from our network opportunities that are available to you, but we don't do co-op placements in our part-time program. Something that is in my agenda to be thinking about, though, so thank you for mentioning that. I'm coming this September for full-time program from India. What exactly is the cohort size for each intake? So we are planning on 2 sections for the full-time program in September. So that is 120 students. That doesn't mean we'll have 120 students. So we might have 100 students, we might have 110. But each section, as I mentioned earlier, it's a 35 to 45 tends to be the class size, but it can go up to 55. We also might run a third section, so that all depends. Someone who's weak in math, I hear ya, and accounting, is able to get postgrad certificate in HRM. Yes. Okay. So great question about the accounting course. So our accounting course is designed by a CPA who really understands that there's a bunch of us who need to know this material, but might be not as proficient. So they've really designed the course to make it really digestible. I've heard a lot of anecdotes from students that the course is initially scary, but they get through it and they end up doing really, really well. So our 2 instructors that teach that know that there's a little bit of fear around that course, and we've reorganized it based on student feedback as well as instructor feedback to make it really really, really useful because it actually is that accounting course. It's really important for HR folks to know about it because everything in HR in an organization, there's dollars attached to it and it's part of strategy. So yeah, not to worry. And there's a lot of support for you there. So if anybody's worried about that course, not to worry. So we do not have formal, like this isn't a co-op based program, partly because the program is fairly long, and adding a co-op program to that, it doesn't quite work out. That being said, we're working with one of the things that I'm looking to accomplish in the fall is to create a better network so that within the HR community that we're letting you, the students, know what's out there and what's available to you, because we have a really great network of instructors and advisory board members who are well connected in the community, and there's a lot of opportunities for co-op placements and things like that. Now, for any of the international students, you do have to check for if anything is paid, you do have to check your permits for that. So there's a question about Career Nexus by the School of Continuing Studies. Yes, brand new. Thanks for asking about it. So this is actually an area where there's much more information to come. We've heard a lot from our students and our alumni about sort of career support. So this is an area that's growing. One of the first steps is this Career Nexus. It's launching shortly, and what it allows you to do is really go on an exploration path in terms of your skill set and where sort of what careers, what does the market look like, what do certain jobs, like what's the entry level salary, how much information or experience do you need, and that type of thing. So this is really an exploration tool at the beginning. It will evolve. We're also looking at we have a career advisor who's joined the team. So there's a lot more to come about that. To apply for the part-time program in the fall, yes, tons of spots open. You can go ahead and register today. And we often take students right up until the classes actually start, Miriam, so you can sort of apply along the way. We don't often close enrollment for those programs because of the flexible nature of it for part-time. I am coming from a completely different educational background and looking to change careers. Will taking this course allow me to get a job once finished? Okay, so it depends, Lindsay, it depends on sort of what your career looks like. So all of the skills here, um, you know, will help you sort of make that career pivot and think about sort of how you're positioning yourself in the interview process differently in terms. So yes, it can allow you to get a job, but as with any sort of job market, um, we're not we cannot guarantee. There's a lot goes into the interview process that we aren't a part of. But yes, this is a program that if you're thinking about pivoting into HR, this is a really great program to help you get to that accreditation and to go into the designation to set you up. Do we have a choice to pick the two subjects at a time, or do the university decide? That's a great question. So yes, sorry, back up. No, you do not have the choice. The curriculum is set. So everybody takes all the same courses at the same time, just in different sections. So generally what happens is, for example, if you were to start in September, you would take Introduction to HR and Organizational Behavior for 7 weeks. And then, or yeah, 7 weeks, and then you'd have a break, and then you take the next 2. We offer them at the same cadence so that should anything happen and you need to step away or you need to retake a course, we know exactly when you can retake that. It also allows for, to be able to maintain that cohort so that you can stay with your learning community. What time is the start of class for part-time? There isn't a start of class. It's completely self-directed. So the classes start on one day. You will have due dates and deadlines within the course, but there's no live instruction. So it really is, if you can dedicate, if you go on Monday, I'm going to dedicate this amount of time to learning or that amount of time to learning, then that's how it works. But there's no official start, like day of the class. There's a start date of the course and there's an end date of course, and then there's due dates in between. Since some international students pursue a 1+1 program, could you suggest completing certificate that could be pursued after this? I'm assuming 2 certificates, Avneet. So a lot of our students who take the HR program also take the business administration program if you wanted to continue on. And any of the courses that there's some courses that overlap and you would be exempt from that. That is a great question for David if you're planning out sort of the next 18 months of your learning. Yeah. Secondhand course textbooks. Yes, these course textbooks are widely used across the province. So yes, absolutely. Don't buy anything until we tell you exactly which edition and what you should be purchasing, okay? We don't want you to spend any unnecessary money. So can we change programs if admitted? So Ketan, that is a question for the registration team if you're looking to switch programs, because I don't have the background on your particular file. What does the evaluation process look like? Great question. I should have covered that in the session. So we offer our courses. We have some of the courses. Sorry, I'll back up a second. Each course runs slightly differently. So in one course, you might have a midterm and a final and some projects in between. Another course, you might not have a midterm and a final, but you might have 2 or 3 projects, as well as some other little assignments in between. So each course is designed for the particular topic that you're looking at. We do not rely heavily on finals. So what you won't see is a final exam that's worth 70% of your grade and it's all in and pass or fail. That's not how we operate. This is very much about doing the learning along the way. And should there be a final exam, it's usually for the second half. But each course is run, is organized slightly differently. Is there a social media group for fall 2022 students? Because to help them connect. So our students tend to organize their own chat groups and Facebook groups. So Regin, when you're joining, I would suggest like you'll meet your fellow students in September. Oftentimes there's study chat groups and that type of thing, but we do not manage that. That's definitely a place for students to have sort of their own private sort of setup. Is there any break in the full-time program? There's breaks after every set of courses, and you'll know that, you'll be told that in advance of when those are, so that if you need to work, you can, or if you need to take an absolute break, then you can do that too. Do we come to the new Twisty building for classes in September? You will be told where your classes are, but that's going to be our home. Now, the official opening date, I will leave that to my colleagues who are handling all the construction, but that is the plan that we will be there. But stay tuned for more information about that, where our home base is, okay? It'll be in your welcome letter. You'll be told. You will not feel lost on your first day. It's a big campus, but you'll know where to go. I think I answered the job about part-time studies if you're an international student. For part-time program, are there any breaks embedded in the program? For example, 1 to 2 weeks during Christmas? Yes. So we have breaks. There's usually about a week in between each course, and then so any of the breaks that are so for the winter break, there is a break then as well. Miriam, if you'd like a more detailed sort of schedule, reach out to David, and we can provide you with sort of that type of thing if you're planning. I know it's hard to plan for a year and 8 months, so we can give you roughly what those look like, okay? Is the part-time course suitable for professionals planning to change their career? Yeah, it's really designed to be that way, Anna. It does allow for you to work and also to think about sort of what you're trying to accomplish next. Can we get on campus residence if we're coming for the fall or for full time? I do not know the answer to that. That is a question for registration. I don't believe the York continuing studies students have access to residence, but I don't want to give you the wrong information. Please contact registration. Do you have to purchase a textbook for every course? We have textbooks for every course. Whether or not you purchase them is up to you, but they are used. There is used books in the market as well. Some of our courses have open textbooks that are free, but don't buy anything until you've been to the orientation, please. Is it possible to start May 22 online for the full-time program and join in person at a later date? Um, it so live online with scheduled learning in the full-time program, it may be an option for you where that's all being determined at the moment. You should have, if you're already registered for May 22, you should have received a survey. If you haven't answered it, please do. Um, so where do our international students come from? So we have students from India, Cameroon, Brazil, Nepal, Iran, Iraq, China. Um, I know I'm forgetting uh, some students from England. Um, I think I have some students from Colombia as well. So it's a little bit all over the globe. Also, students who have, I have some students who might be Indian students, but are coming to us from Australia. So that, or from, there might be students from Nepal, but they're coming to us from programs in the States. So a little bit all over the place. Can students do part-time job while they're studying? It all depends on your permits. I can't answer that question. I don't, Riva, I'm not sure what HRIS is, and it seems like you have a lot of particular questions. Maybe you want to wrap them up in an email and maybe send them to David, and he can answer them for you. So, Riva, in terms of reputation of the program, we are very well received by the market, but we can't, students are not required to tell us where they've landed afterwards for privacy reasons, obviously. So in terms of placement rates, as I said off the top of the question and answer period, we don't really have a good, it would be great to know, but students are not, it's not mandatory for them to tell us. So I think as I suggested, Reba, if you have, because there's a lot of sort of discrete questions in there, can you, um, if I haven't answered them because there was a couple of repeats, you can send them to David and we collaborate on that. So that is basically the end of the Q&A. Thank you for staying long. I very much appreciate it. I know this was in the middle of the day. But yeah, if you have any other questions, the team here is more than happy to answer them after this session. And if there's anything in the meantime where how you're trying to make your decision, please do reach out. And best of luck. We hope to see you in the future studying with us.